definitely impressed with, that I've always been impressed with for decades now, you know what I mean? Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Okay, so my name is Veno. Long is Veno. I'm Haitian, and Veno stands for Vision, Enlightenment, Notion, and Oneness, and essentially it basically dictates my path in life. And so just to abbreviate it, or essentially just make it really short for you guys, it's through my vision, I have built my notion and my enlightenment and everything that builds the oneness, which is UFLF. So, you know, it's only right that I'm sitting here with my Haitians representing me and highlighting me and showing my art. So, thank you, brother, for, you know, bringing me on set.
Long way.
Been a minute.
So, where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Haiti, born in La Plaine. Essentially, just, you know, at the age of 11, I came to Canada. So if I tell you what Haiti is to me, essentially it was the beach every weekend, every evening, spending time with my family, you know, after school, and really just, we had to live because of the embargo. It was getting very harsh and terrible. So my parents basically just took refuge in Canada and the opportunities that it could provide for us. So, yeah.
It's real. You get him on camera.
Wait. Sorry, you didn't see
Stop, Pops. Pops, come get some love, man. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, we've known each other for decades. I've been knowing you through advertising since before, with the parties and that we used to be throwing and the flyers and the blah blah.
Yeah.
But what was your first creation? Do you remember? Like where did you venture off? What was the first time you applied before the painting or drawing, or were you always drawing?
Okay, so I would say that, like, I've always done art. Art doesn't come from me, it comes from my mother, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like, in our whole family in general, like from sisters and whatnot, we have this keen attraction to creativity and art. So it was very easy for me to have access to like that drive to put in myself, to put everything that I do into my work. But very young, I was called, and I believe that, like, when you sync yourself to the universe, there's a saying that says that you don't chase, you attract. And I was attracted. You know, I was attracted to the things that came to me, and it was attracted to me. So one of the youngest successful endeavors that I had was creating the symbol for the French francophones. It was a frog and a pin going through it, and it represented the whole francophone of Ontario. And I believe I was 14, 15 when they got me to do that. Essentially, I sent a submission for a contest, and my mom had to show up to sign for me because they thought she was the one that did it. And they found out that it was actually a young kid sitting on the table with a bunch of corporate people, and I just had that like touch onto like seeing visions and seeing things in a different perspective. And so I just carried on. I mean, for me, creativity has always been a pulse. So I'm always creating, even if I'm right now, you know, I'm here creating mentally. I envision this, I feel in my mind before it actually manifested. And you know, so.
Too real, man.
Yeah.
I like that. Did you ever go to school for drawing? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I went through like when I was in high school, I took art class, and I took art class specifically because my the principal was a young lady that essentially was an aspiring artist. So she told me that if I put more time and more time after school in my curriculum doing art, that she would give me extra credit so I could graduate faster. so it was easy for me to just go into it, and so I did that, to be honest. I took the time to really put my energy into art. And I think that gave me that capsule to be able to really kind of have that space. And if some of my friends, K9, Fizzy, D, that were in the same high school as me, they see me literally leave while they went to play basketball during like, you know, the halftime. I just basically went into the art classes, you know, and I was always doing art, so
That was your basketball.
that was my basketball,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
I
so
like that. I like that. I see you use a lot of different types of art. Obviously, it's still growing every day. Every time I check your page, you're on to a next level.
yeah.
But what would you say is your favorite type of tool? Like, you know, from pencil to pastels to the stone and crystal work you're doing. Do you have a favorite kind of work, or do you just move wherever the creativity moves you?
I call, like, you know, professionally, I call myself a digital strategist. And the reason why I'm using this as a way to pronounce my work now is because I've taken so many tools along the way that it would be hard for me to suggest myself to saying that I'm one thing, right? So what I use as my foundation is my experiences more than I use the actual tools. And I believe that sometimes, like, by example, in the crystal art that's behind us, I wanted to use the textile as a harsh way to express something, and I'll utilize this one specifically.
Let's talk about this piece while we're here.
This one at the back is called Adam at Eve. So the concept is the Adam and Eve that we know, which is from the Bible, and we're kind of given this perspective that specifically tells us that Adam and Eve is two humans, and this tree, and this serpent, and there's this theory, and obviously there's a greater thought to it. But I wanted to break it down to the atoms, so the actual, you know, at the atomic level of life, which is that we're a particle, we're frequency, we're vibration, and that all of that encompasses what we are. And so that essentially the concept is that Adam gave Eve a seed, right? And that seed grew into blossoming, and essentially that's the reason why I have flowers integrated in it. And so the reaping of what the apple is really the fruit that she gave back. So the rest of it is, you know, the serpent, maybe the current of energy that goes across when two women, when a woman and a male gets together and creates life. So that's the reason why I broke it down this way. And so I feel like textile is really just a tool, an asset to really pronounce what I'm trying to convey with my pieces. And coming back to your question, it's like, for me, art is an expression. And realistically, we're expressing it in a third dimension. So for me, I have to extract the external world and then put it into this way to combine it and actually make something out of it that visually represents all of the emotional feelings and interpretations that I want to convey. But I do, like, again, like, I'm an artist, so if somebody comes up with something new, and or if I have access to putting a car on top of a building and smash it into the ground or something that's extreme, I'm going to take that opportunity, right? So I believe that I haven't even touched the full length of my palette. I just think that, like, so far I'm kind of like really just taking the base surface of what I've been able to accomplish on my own. And I look forward to doing bigger things, to be honest. Like, this is light to me.
I love how simple it is for you to explain, because your brain, I guess your brain waves are moving differently. Although these look like a set, because of size and shape, these are all three different messages that they're conveying, right?
Right.
Can you tell me more about this guy over here behind you with the eyeball in the middle?
So this series comes with 4, and CC, I'll just use your acronym name, but CC is the one that purchased the blue one, and I'll start with the blue one. It's online. I might actually put a video for you guys to see, and it conveys essentially the essence of the breaking apart of the soul. So there's a meditating individual in the center, and around it, the particles are made out of another sub-level of the soul, which is made out of the particles. So you see, like, the character is holding the meditated guy in the center, and then there's like the LEDs that are lighting around it. And essentially, it's that, again, that when we break apart from the physical, we can actually attain a higher, greater self. And it's not that the soul is inside of us, it's actually outside of us. So that was the first one. The piece that you mentioned here is supposed to be the representation of discernment in life. So the third eye, So the awakening of the pineal gland, which represents like essentially the highest process of ourselves that gets dimmed down by all of the junk that we take. And so if we're able to open that eye in life, then we can actually discern and see a clearer vision. And essentially that's the reason why I wanted to make sure that that is correlated to Adam and Eve. And this one is the snake, the actual dark side of ourselves, the shadow, right? And we don't talk about the shadow, we don't see the shadow, but the shadow is actually what we need. It's a representation of why I believe that the earth is made the way it is. Like the sun projects a somber side of ourselves to remind ourselves that we are human, that we are here on earth. It's the only thing that even through videography or 3D motion that represents an actual realism to that we know. You know, it gives us a shape. It makes us understand how our nose is made or how our facial features are expressed. So I believe it's a very big piece. And so I made a snake. So if you see the two eyes, and this is the tongue going down. And I use ghost labels, refurbished, packaged, because given me a bunch of bags at the time, and I wanted to, you know, I'm big on recycling too, so I repurposed the because the texture had like a snake kind of vibe. You can feel that in there. So again, texture just to give that feeling. So that's the reason why I utilized it in this one. And so yeah, these 4 pieces are from my last series, and yeah, that's a part of.
It's a capsule in itself.
A capsule in itself, yeah.
Since we're talking about capsules, I also noticed you made another few paintings, I guess, showing the elements: fire, water, air. Is there another one to that?
Spirit.
Spirit.
Yeah, spirit. So spirit.
Tell me a bit more about those.
So the 4 elements was a personal thing. I wanted to try and basically keep myself in this base foundation of life, where we know that we have those 4 colors, 4 elements. We have this world, you know, this whirling four disciplines that come into factor in all things, right? And so I wanted fire to be specifically done with just the color red, and essentially the use of red, which is, you know, it goes to orange, yellow, whatnot, and blue to stick within that. But the concept within it has the actual symbols. So the triangular shapes that you're seeing up and down, and this, you know, the circle, and you know, those shapes are the symbols that were given to represent these specific signs. So essentially for me, I wanted to make sure that I incorporate basically all of the dimensions of these designs so that they can actually showcase kind of like a vision of it. So by example, water, I have the trident. If you look at the way that the lines are made, you see there's a trident in the middle of it because of what's his name again? Anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about, but the tridents, and essentially it's like to represent the water itself, and seeing it in that way where it's like, okay, it's about the brush, it's about the palette, it's about the color, and not a representation of water in a very like literal way. Fire, I added a dragon in there, but at the same time I drew the dragon in a way that the fire was essentially what was shaping the dragon. The earth essentially, I used crystal. That was the first time I tried using crystal in my art, and I made it upside down. So when people pick it up, they realize that it's like I'm painting as if I was laying down on the ground and looking up. So you'll see that it breaks apart this way. So the sky is actually at the top, and the rest is like seeing the leaves and everything. When you're looking down and you're looking at leaves, and things get blurry, and you kind of see it all as one piece, and it's like a fractal work. The spirit one is really the symbol of life. Obviously, by now we have come to realize that the flower of life, the seed of life, has been a representation that's been put in the pyramids, in China, has been found everywhere, and it also correlates as the frequencies of life, right? When you go from hertz to hertz, hope you guys know what hertz are. but essentially it gives all these different patterns, and the rooted one is the seed of life. So I put the seed of life in the center as a spirit, and I use gold as the highest form, right? Because it's the purest form, the first purest form outside of, you know, diamonds and stuff, but essentially the first purest form of stone, the richest one, and that's why we seem to be attracted to it, because of the conductivity. Like gold is the highest conductor, right? So I use that for it, and the circle is just to say the full circle of life. And I think I touched all of them. Air has a young lady in the center. I believe that we always say that air is masculine, and I believe that the wind is actually is more prone to be feminine, because of the fact that it actually moves stuff, it translates stuff, it moves currents, it does a lot. So I put the female in there, and that's about it. I use yellow for air because usually air is seen as being transparent, but I believe that like air is also like, you know, when the steam comes up, you see the hues of the sun that goes through it, and that's the only thing that can show air. So I wanted to use yellow for the hue of that color. I think that's it.
Please keep in mind, that's deep. I like that explanation. You definitely brought it down, broke it down to the molecules of what you created there. So I'm obviously detecting some spiritual love. You know, you seem to have been reincarnated from I don't know what sport. Where does that come from? Where do you think that comes from?
So when I was younger, I used to go down to a neighbor's house for just basically going down the street and going to like a neighbor's house. It was like, what, 15-minute walk. But there was a group of friends that used to tell me that there was a lady that further down was a voodoo priestess, and she actually had a house where she operated. So I was curious, and I ended up finding that home, and she did actually live there. I never actually spoke to her, but it gave me a sense of realism that sometimes we don't actually look deeper into the spiritual realm. And ever since, my mind has been seeking to kind of have moments in life, and I realized that the universe is made out of I would say miracles. And the miracles that we speak of happen only if you look for them. And through the fact that I'm a visual artist, I'm always looking for miracles. I'm looking for moments, for things to give me a certification of like, yeah, you're actually going the right way. Even when it comes down to my art, I don't plan my art. I actually sit down and I pray on it. And then once I'm done praying, I convey exactly how I was told for me to do it. And so that's why often it's hard for me to do anything different. The only artwork I've ever done, besides Drake, I did Drake once, but besides Drake, I did Michael Jackson. And I've done some friends because I believe that I can immortalize people. So I've done some of my friends, but those are very precise collections that you'll never probably see, except for K9. But it's like, essentially for me, this is my highest collector. He's my biggest collector, right? So for me, it's like, I do understand that you can touch very deeply into spirituality if you allow yourself to let spirituality show you. You can't just manifest it, right? And I have a deep connection to the spiritual realm. And I hope that people realize that that's the way that you find the path to life. Meaning that at the outcome of life, it is going to be through spirituality that you will ascend. So it's a good thing to start, just embracing and not necessarily casting out. And that's the reason why we're so low in frequency on this planet now, is because they don't want us to be able to recycle this. Like you said, I've been here probably how many times? Exactly. It's a sense, right?
Exactly.
So
before I jump into one of my favorite capsules, just to encompass what we represent here at UFLF 1804, I want to talk about another painting that you did that definitely intrigued me, that I love, which had the heads of the Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
The Simpson family that you encompass with. Was that flowers? Was that a flower?
It's a flower. I took a petal and I went ham.
Okay, I took the actual Homer pic. It's actually my IG picture.
Yeah,
now,
so,
but I'm trying to. How did that come? Why did you use the Simpson heads?
So, I was like, I don't have too many cartoons that I've watched. I don't really watch. If I watch television, I'm analyzing everything, and I'm just looking at how they did it, why they did it, of course. Exactly. So, and The Simpsons is one of the animation series that I just took in as leisure. Like, I love the incorporation of characters that were of different types and shapes that didn't represent anything specific. It was the first time I've seen an actual black person on television. It was, Abu, and so like, it was so integrative that I felt like it was something that from my young age I liked. So during the time of COVID, I took a pedal and I said, hey, like, how could somebody convey this artwork in a creative way? And so I started looking at like why they created The Simpsons, and I started going into a rabbit hole. And I found something kind of like very interesting, that Homer, the name Homer, comes from, well, that doesn't come from, but essentially has a correlation to the Homeric age, which is a time where things had to basically like be completely changed. Things where it was a very big evolutional time. And it gave me this feeling because like we're in this space where it's like now life that was something that was like, okay, you go to work, you do all these certain cycles, and now you're like, everything's at a stop. And then you have to kind of figure out what life is for yourself, because you're in a room. Do you indulge in Netflix all day, or do you like, and for me it was creativity. So I told myself that it was a way for me to re-represent something that visually could be transcended in a way that wouldn't necessarily be just visually a replica. A lot of the new artists are just taking Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse, and they're just they're recreating it, but they're not putting anything new to it. And I wanted to go outside the box and be like, let me make a new Homeric age of The Simpsons. Like, let me elevate the visuals of this young animation series that influenced my life, but then give it a perspective that was so fractaled and so deep that you would think I was on mushrooms, but I was not.
It definitely gave you that mushroom feel.
Right.
Yeah. I had to add that. You're gonna have to hook me up with one of those.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Homer or the whole thing.
The whole thing.
You have to add that.
You need the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to one of my favorite, of course, the 1804 capsule, as I like to call it. I'm not sure what title you gave it, but she used to have a few pieces like this. What full sculpture here? I mean, who does 3D art like this? Of course.
Yeah.
And you did have different paintings as well.
Right.
Showing different poses, different angles, of which I bought one myself because I was so impressed with your work. But tell me how this one came about. How did you dive into the 1804, the Enigma home? I like how you added the lady as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Okay, so the Enigma home for me was the first symbol that I saw when I drove to school when I was a kid. We had to cross the downtown literally every day. So I questioned this symbol, and I saw this symbol repeatedly, and I really kind of like grew into this understanding of like what it represented in the liberation of our country and what it meant to Haitians. Now I realized that they just put a bunch of trash around it, and there's really no value to it. You can barely see it when you drive by now. And so I wanted to give it an emphasis. But one thing I've always felt missing is that, like, though we have the men that lead, we never empowered the woman that led. So for me, and bled, right? And bled. So for me, I wanted to make sure that for once in this representation and given great I would say love to the initial creator, because I'm not the initial creator. I wanted to add the woman into it so that we could actually unite, so we can actually see the symbol grow over time, and that becomes our generation giving a pedestal to our women that actually held the grounds during the fight of liberation, and they were there to help us heal, help us build, and essentially rebuild the nation that was depowered. The Tainos were the first nations of Haiti, you know, and they were separated in seven sections of continent. So essentially, we had the best process of existence on out of the whole world. Essentially, we came from far and isolated ourselves in the greatest land and the richest. That's why it's called la perle d'Haïti. We isolated ourselves there, and because of the, you know, the diseases that they brought, we went from, I think we were left with almost like 20-30% only of our people. So we had to obviously build more Haitians, and the only way is through our Haitian women. So I wanted to make sure that it was highlighted in the artwork, and so that's the reason why I united them. The first piece actually was funny because somebody told me when I did it, I wanted to make it into a sphere, and through my art process, I decided to put it this way because of the way that they were placed. And because I had too much issues with people telling me about like, oh, they're not facing each other, you know, there's not a sense of love, I decided to make the other piece. Est-ce que tu peux me prendre l'autre, s'il te plaît? And I ended up putting them face to face at this point. So the next biggest piece that I created, the next sculpture, was actually them facing each other. And
Okay.
yeah, so this on this piece here, you'll see they're facing each other, and so essentially it's just to really unite them and show that like at the end of our, you know, fight, we called out to the rest of the people that were at the top of the mountain, our children and the elders, to be able to come back down, because that's where we actually were hiding, right? We were hiding at the top of the mountain. So yeah, so that's really how it came about, and I call it le et la marron. You know, I just added the la, you know, just to essentially make it more of the
Emphasize the feminine. It's
emphasize.
definitely creating a yin-yang type of balance. It looked like it was always meant to be together and neither. You know? Okay, so thanks for dropping that. The UFLF 1804 definitely goes with the brand.
Yeah.
Thank you for rocking the badge, you know, keeping us.
We had a conversation, and when we have creative conversations, people think I don't go forward. But I made a chain, 1804. These guys are on top, and this is the first time you're gonna see it. It's crazy because I'm gonna insert it into the video clip for you. But it's like when we spoke about it, I did it. The only thing is I didn't get through COVID. So I couldn't actually get it made.
Yeah. You got inspired. It sparked the flame.
Correct, exactly.
I like that.
So it's funny that you call it 1804 because I actually have it there with the 1804 at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send you the clip so we can add it to
I like that. It makes me smile. So, art, obviously, you draw, you create.
Yeah.
I obviously see you have a lot of tattoos yourself.
Yeah.
As an artist, how do you inspire your tattoos? What do you choose to put on yourself? I mean, obviously all of them came at a different time.
Yeah.
But do you know, because if I go in a tattoo shop, they have their own pictures you can choose from.
Yeah.
Like, are you also picking, or are you bringing your own art that you draw? Because I would picture, like, you know, I would picture you came in like, no, I want it like this.
I actually did, and it's the hardest thing for me to let go is art. And while I'm getting tattooed, I'm looking at the guy in the eyes like, I'm sure you're gonna put the shape there, I'm sure you're putting the line in the right place, you know, so.
You must twist them out there.
Yeah. But I remember my first tattoo.
Yeah.
And my first tattoo was the Archangel, because K9 and I had this great understanding of our role on Earth, and I think that we actually carry it really well. And those that know him see it, is that we are angels on Earth, and that essentially the ark is the boat that we use to help people move from place to place. So just like Moses had an ark, and he was able to take that capsule and move those individuals while the water flooded. The concept is to say that we're always flooded with difficulties and bringing, as you would say, providing logical solutions. APL, Chanel. The essential concept of always providing solutions, or being an archangel, is to always be there, always and always being there for people. So that was my first tattoo. I have one dedicated to my son, Emilien Benjamin Joachim. So he's basically intertwined in the phoenix, and it represents the rebirth of myself. He's the seed of my light. And
I like that.
And it grows out to the dragon. So I met a Japanese artist that essentially has been doing tattoos in Japan for the longest time. And essentially he told me that the dragon, which I need to put the eyes on in, essentially that's my last set. I think I'm ready now. But he said that the dragon's eyes really only open at a time in which he is fully evolved. So it's a last, like the dragon is flying blind. That's why people are like, oh, you know, like he only throws fire when he hears that there's you know, when he's fighting, he's burning everything, right? So when you become a meticulous dragon, when you manifest yourself to your highest height, your eyes open. So now you fill in your dragon. So my eyes and my dragons are currently empty, and I'm going to like literally, you know, get them filled now. Besides that, I have my family name, Joachim. You know, that's the bloodline. I have 3 sisters and, you know, obviously parents. But the Joachims are, to me, a legacy on earth because we do a lot. If you guys take a look at what my sisters do, you'll understand that I'm barely doing anything. You know, art is very the simplest point. You know, my sister gets sent to find names of immigrants that were enslaved in homes and have to go through paperwork only that you find, you know, like their diaries talking about how they were raped and all these different deep, you know, agonies that they've done. So I think her job to me is more of a legacy on this earth. My mom has obviously created us. We can't even bypass what she's done. I have, you know, some other symbols. I have Buddha because I've gone through Buddhism. I've done Christianity, and I'm doing quantum physics now. So I'm really trying to encompassate the full understanding of you know, religious practices and spirituality. Not to forget voodoo. So it's deep for me. It's a doctrine. It's for me to continue to evolve as an individual and, you know, leave in my work the things that I have, you know, to, you know, basically put in there, like the Fibonacci sequence, understanding it completely and why and how to use it, the flower of life, the tree of life. So I'm hoping to be able to, over time, put a book together and leave all this in the hands of the world. But for now, I'm just a student, so I'm constantly just digging. So.
Loving it that, you know. I like how you could comfortably explain it as well. You know, you're really making me see different levels, things I haven't even thought about, you know. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
I see that you're deep in family as well.
Yeah.
I met your son as well. Caught me a few times staring at the paintings, you know, while rollerblading around Four Willies. Shout out Four Willies. Thanks for letting us in here. K9, Bricks, Joe, Michelle, y'all already know what it is.
Yeah.
How did having a son change your trajectory? Did it change your trajectory?
It absolutely did, right? I think it's my biggest creation. Obviously, I wasn't the only person, and I appreciate, you know, the opportunities that God gave me to be able to have a son, to be honest, and definitely put pressure on me very young. I didn't expect it to be this way, and obviously it gave me a curve, but I believe that every curve has its own purpose, right? So it made me a lot more sharp about the things that matter. And I don't believe I would be the same person if he didn't come in my life. I used to call him the young Buddha. I observed him at his purest point when he was growing up. I tried to make sure that I understood who he was instead of trying to make him something. He chose what he wanted, how he wanted, and he still does. To be honest, if you guys meet him, he's a special child, you know, and I look forward to seeing him do even greater things than I have ever, you know, even touched. No, you're not kicking my ass in basketball.
That's a plug right there. I have to remind him real quick.
You know what I mean? But he's a beautiful child, 100%.
Okay, so let's still along the lines of family. Let's talk about collaborations.
Okay.
I've been seeing you doing work with Zolani Fashion,
Yeah.
Ghost Label,
Yeah.
19 Keys.
Yeah.
How do your collaborations come to life? I mean, all of them are obviously separate and.
Yeah, they're all different. I mean, I'll start with 19 Keys. So for 19 Keys, it was a reach, really. So when I believe that like sometimes you're in a path of search, and I felt that this brother had a keen understanding of how great we could be as Black people, not as Black people, as a nation, you know. And I felt like his intellect really brought that like attraction to like his mental elevation of what I wanted to do. So I reached out to him. And I said, let's do something for our people, meaning that like essentially right now, NFT, the whole AI is coming out, but the thing that we don't do is that we don't embrace and take things and lead it. We wait till it's like last minute and then we jump into it. So I said, hey, let's drop an NFT to show that there is possibility for success. So we did. We sold for a great number, and so that's what I think essentially is a way for us to kind of collaborate. I think that sometimes collaboration are always specific to making money, but it's not to actually give back and show love and show the opportunities that can be done when people just unite, like l'union fait la force, right? So that was how I ended up connecting with him. He's a great brother. I look forward to doing more work with him, to be honest. I did some work with Mike Rashid. I'm hoping one day it comes out. We actually worked on Anakoana, which is one of the greater leaders, female leaders that was part of the 7 Nations in Haiti.
Okay, brought her name
And
up.
like I'm gonna show it to you, but I can't release it unless Mike, can we release this?
Mike,
Mike,
what's up, Mike? Talk to us.
let's release that.
Let's go.
Let's show the world what it is. You
Shout
know,
out Mike Rashid.
and so like that project would initially will be something that I'm hoping will move the nations to see, you know, like we had great leaders before anything happened. We had like the right structure in Haiti. Now coming back to family, when you mentioned Zolani Fashion, that can you get me the teddy bears? Yeah, I got my dad here. He's the king. I love him so much.
Helping us out here. Thank you, sir.
So plush toys. So my sister, obviously, her children are half African, and so she wanted to create a way to utilize and give them gifts that weren't necessarily bought in stores that had no correlation to their own culture. So she created plush toys that they could relate to. So she used the patterns that are the most popular in Africa for the clothing and whatnot, and she decided to make plush toys so that for once there were plush toys that were made with culture, right? We're still using plush toys, but it has a correlation to our culture. Yeah, exactly. And so she's been building a bunch of different avenues with the same idea. And so she also brought in the concept of giving gifts, like we give flowers to our women, but we don't give them flowers back with the same power of the things they do, because African women are the women that have brought these patterns to life. And they've done everything to clothe their children. They've done, their dresses and whatnot. So it's very important for us to be able to give them something back. So she made flowers out of them. And so Valentine's Day, this is what you should be giving your women. So I integrated into the art that I do. And I do a bunch of other pieces with her. And so that's what Zolani Fashion is. There's a lot more coming out. And basically looking forward to continue this great venture with her. She also is doing all the crémas in Ottawa right now. Crème de la crème is copyright. No infringement, guys. Crème de la crème.
Crème de la crème.
Yeah. So she does that too. And Yeah, we're just a family of creators, and we believe that like most people are investing in you know, the industry, and we want to create an industry. We want to pave that industry. We want to stay and give that value to our culture. So that's us, the Joachins.
Yeah, family of creative
Yeah.
geniuses. So
Geniuses.
from what I see so far, you
Yeah.
know. What about Ghost Label?
Ghost?
So you got a little taste of
Yeah.
creative that knows no bounds. You know, we went from paintings to
just
plush toys.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of people, and Ghost is like my big brother, my big African brother. You know, I believe that this guy has had such a leap in visionary work, and he gave me, you know, the opportunity to work with him on his brand, and he comes back to me, you know, repetitively to give me the ability to grow a brand. And I think that a lot of times people go to a designer or a creator and they get them to do the first piece, and then they go to somebody else and go to somebody else, and then the source of life kind of gets dimmed out
or confused.
Confused or whatnot. Exactly. And as a textile creator for the brand, because people have to understand, I created the brand, the symbol, the textile. He himself is he does the couture. Like I tell him all the time, you're high-end couture, but he tells me he's high-end fashion. but I'm, you know, he's given me many things, many opportunities in his collections, and so like now I'm looking forward while he's you know, paving his way through Dubai, and I'm looking forward to go to Dubai and do some great stuff with him. But that's how I connected with Ghost. I'm not sure who else you mentioned. Kalani Jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
The initial brands were created by me. The symbol changed over time, and I understand why. But Kalani's great family too. I look forward to actually getting into jewelry more in depth at some point in time. I haven't gone into jewelry too much. I've designed a lot of pieces like D&D, shout out to Harvey Stripe. You know, some of the other pieces that were created that I don't know of, because like people do, you know, do create the symbols that I do with other jewelers, but I'm talking about Kalani right now because that's family. And many other brands. Honestly, I've done over 10,000 brands in my lifetime, in my lifetime, and I believe I have more than that, but I stopped counting at 10,000. It was you know, 20 years. In the last 20 years, and still now, like I have one to do tonight. So
you put your hours in for sure.
Yeah, like I'm always conceiving art.
So since we jumped onto clothing with Ghost Label, let's talk OGE.
Okay, OGE.
Yeah.
OGE, it basically is ego backwards. It's essentially a character that lives between the ether and the earth, and he's always having fun on the clouds and whatnot, and he talks to God. And so God tells him all the time, like, you know, the feedback of life, the wisdom of life, and all this stuff. But he still has this keen curiosity where he wants to go to Earth. He wants to live a life. So essentially, he has wings and a halo when he in a mini series that I'm building. It's based on seven. It's a 7 series based on the 7 sins. And essentially, he wants to experience life. And every time that he goes through the series or an episode, he realizes that he's faced with the ego. So in order to convey this paradigm that I think is existing on Earth, is that we always have to go through the ego. And the only way that we can become an OG is to actually go through our egos. And one of the things that I want to teach the young minds is that the ego is a representation of your greater self. A lot of times it's been put down and put in a way to seen as being a negative thing, but really the ego is a representation of your higher self. That's the reason why they say, oh, you're being egotistical and whatnot. And yeah, true, the definition is not present, but it really is what you could become if you put the work into it. So that means that if you put work into mastering the reflection of what you see that your ego is telling you and boasting about, then you can become an OG. So that's the reason why I have this character. And essentially, when OG is on Earth, OG is on Earth in the episodes, he's wearing a crown. So you have your crown when you're on Earth. Be proud of yourself. You will get your halo, I promise you. And that's really what OG is.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So, as an artist, who inspires you? Like, do you ever look at other artists' work? I know you mentioned watching TV for educational purposes and stuff. Have you seen an artist that inspired you that you were like, this is something right here?
Yeah, I am absolutely fascinated by Leonardo da Vinci. And I have books on him. I've been dissecting his work, and to be honest, on the low key, I've redrawn his work. Meaning that, like, I've tried to re-embody the things that he's taken in to really see it, and I've never published any of it. Reason why is because it's like who I'm studying. He's definitely one of the pioneers, just because I think he also did poetry. Nobody knows this. He's an architect. He's a scientist. He basically gave us the layout of our physical existence inside. So yeah, he was one of the first people to dissect and draw how the human body is, and that's why we have this in our medical practice to study. So I feel that he had a keen understanding of certain depth that people didn't. So I'm fascinated by Leonardo da Vinci. The other people that I'm fascinated by is everyone that I know. So what I mean by that is that my highest influence comes from the people I meet, because I've been prone to be told that I observe people way too much. But like, I do feel like frequencies and energy fields is something that I do see, and people don't believe me when I talk about it. But it triggers me to see the person for who they are at a higher depth. And so like, every person that I see does influence me, and I think it does influence my work and how I see, or how I convey the emotions that I have when I feel or in the moment that I'm present in my art creativity, in the creative process of my art. Besides that, I can't really say any other artists in per se, because I feel like we're all artists. We just haven't come to realize that. Some it depends on how you value art, right?
Exactly.
Like, how you're manifesting.
Exactly.
Like you're an artist. Like, you created this whole friggin' boat for us. Like, as Haitian people, we don't realize how much that is to have, l'union fait la force, like a symbol, like it's a portal for us to be able to be heard. And I wouldn't be able to speak to you guys right now if it wasn't for this creator. So I feel like we're all creators, and as long as we admire each other and we embrace that world, we'll actually make the world even more beautiful, in everything that we do. Maybe just cooking food, like Haitian food's the best food on earth. Like,
still a form of art. That's food on earth.
That's it.
Don't get it twisted. Okay. Before we end the interview, I'd like to obviously thank you for taking the time to sit down with us. Get this season 3 popping off the right way, because Lord knows I've been trying to get this interview done for a minute. I wanted to ask you, like, what does l'union fait la force mean to you? You pretty much described it pretty well right now, but in a nutshell, how would you explain?
Well, vision, enlightenment, notion, oneness, right? It's part of my name. Essentially, c'est l'union fait la force, right? So I believe that, if the world was meant to be such a non-interactive thing, we wouldn't even know each other, right? That's one factor. Second, everything that correlates from the air, the sun, the waves, the basic foundation, the crystallized, like the sand, the fact that seeds grow on earth, and that, everything needs each other.
Everything needs each other.
It just tells you, so if you can't follow nature, you'll never follow life, and you'll fail at life. So l'union fait la force, and those that don't want to come together will perish. And that's the reason why we're so divided in the world, you know, like we have one big continent, but we have a bunch of like names for every little thing and borders and stuff, and we're fighting for water. Like, it's ridiculous. Everything is given to us. You know, we're in the highest point of abundance. We can have 1 million songs on a little thing and listen to it, and all day can watch as many videos and skip any ones we want. Like, we're in the highest point of abundance. So now we have to learn to share. We need to learn to actually have each other and each other's back and put each other's strength together to build. So Union fait la force, I think, is a symbol for that, and it just unifies us even more and leaves the next legacy a window for them to understand what they're going to do with that. So that's what I think it is when it comes down to it.
Well explained, sir.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh, go for
I
it.
always throw in a question.
Yeah, the bonus question.
Alright, the bonus question. If you could collaborate with anyone ever,
Alive or dead?
yeah, like,
Alive or dead?
yeah,
Okay, dead.
That's actually a nice.
I know your answer.
I think we have
Okay,
an answer
alive.
on that one.
Yeah.
What about alive?
Alive. Honestly, I want to work with everyone. Okay, I want to work with everyone. I want everyone to come to me so I can work with everyone. If you look at agency, my legacy on Earth, it's been made as a backward pyramid. The base is like a funnel where the sand goes through, the time capsule, where every person can come through. The rest is who is going to come into that funnel to come create great things, time capsules, things that will last forever. Like I said, I've done over 10,000 logos. I've worked with so many artists, I can't even come to name them. And I believe that like the more I get this in my life, the more happy I am. One person particularly will never make me as happy as plenty.
Like who?
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Okay, I have another one.
Damn.
What's the oddest thing that people don't know about you?
Feel like there's a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like I'm very playful. I'm not as serious as sometimes I project myself to be, and I love people. I honestly feel like I was meant to be a pastor or some form of a celibate, isolated individual that only gives love, like a Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
Like I
Definitely got that prophet vibe.
Yeah, like I was, but in the modern time that we're living, I think that I'm giving a different platform. There's a lot of, it's a different energy field, and the reality isn't what we see. So sometimes I say Mother Teresa, but there will never be another Mother Teresa, right? So it's just an example. But those are the quirky things about me. I think that people are not aware that I wouldn't, if money didn't exist and I didn't have to like scale value all the time to be able to strive and live, I would be creating with every person I see. And I'd just be like this guru on the side of the road, big beard, just sitting and just like living life very freely. But there's obviously constrictions to life, and I think there's obviously when you start understanding how you have to thrive through life. There's obstacles. There's the world is not made. Yeah, there's mechanics. The world is not made the way we want it to be. So we do have to like operate within the system. So you operate through the system and you try and stay as genuine as you can. And yeah, that's probably the quirkiest thing about me is.
To touch on that. Because you mentioned art and value. What's your take on the value of art? Because you know how you can buy a painting for $200 and you can buy it in for $2 million.
A banana star.
How do you feel about that as an artist?
Yeah. When they broke the value when they put a banana on the wall.
Let's talk about
They taped the banana on the wall, but I believe it's also an artistic way to say that there is no value for art.
I think that's what the message was.
I think that's what the message really was. Obviously, there's always somebody that has a pocket full that wants to put like, you know, more money into something that isn't necessarily jaw-dropping or interesting at all. But those statements exist, right? So like freedom, you know, l'union fait la force is also a statement of freedom. And that freedom you can never put a price on. And, you know, my art is freedom, but at the same time, it has high value to the person that understands it. And so I always tell people that, like, when you look at my art, you have to see also the energy and the connection. I don't want any person. I don't need everybody. I don't need IKEA to go and replicate my art a million times or anything like that. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to create connectivity and to transcend, you know, a lot of energy fields that I know that my art can do, because my art heals. I know it does. And to place it in the right hands and hopefully have it like go and influence the rest of the people that get to be influenced by it. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's been an honor to have you. I like your vibe. I like your energy. I can feel it every time we meet. Thank you for sitting down with us.
Yeah.
UFLF episodes, episode 1, season 3. Thanks, Veno. We out.
Yeah.